So what was it like being national and then going international into First Global? How did you go from First to First Global?
This is an unbelievable story. But after about 15 years of first, we had 20, 30, 40, 50 countries would end up with teams coming to the championships, not just regional, but championships. And it wasn't, we had no employees, we had no program to go international. But remember, all our teams are sponsored by many cases, giant Fortune 50, Fortune 500 giants. They're all international. So the engineers that are the mentors would typically start because their kids are on teams, but their kids would grow up. In 4 years, they're off the team. They're out of high school. They're off at college. So we lose the kids, at least for a while, until they come back as mentors. But we
Mhm.
never lose the mentors because A, they love showing what the power of engineering is. They love the fun and the sport, and they really love being able to know that they're affecting kids in their community. So they'd stay with us. So much they'd stay with us that we'd start getting notes like, hey, I know that the kickoff for the new season is January, but I've been moved to Nigeria or Madagascar or Singapore or Brazil with my company, but I want to play. Can you please send this year's kid? I'll get a team going here and I'll be back. So we started getting lots of teams. Well, it turns out, not surprisingly, perhaps, little Israel had loads of tech companies and they started having loads of teams. And by the end of the 15th year, they had gone from a few teams to something like 50. And they called me and said, Dean, you're putting regional events all over the U.S. throughout March Madness. Why don't you do a regional outside the U.S.? Do one here. We've got 50 teams. That's enough for regional. And I said, okay. Well, over the next couple of years, because they were having regionals, they went to 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 teams in Little
Wow.
Israel. And I get a call from a guy who already was in his 80s named Shimon Peres, who had been the president, the prime minister. He won the Nobel Peace Prize. He was a statesman. He was a true statesman. He calls me up one day and he says, Ding, he's got this deep, grovelly voice and he sounded like a grandfather. And he says, Ding, it's not good enough that you're just in the countries that already understand tech, like us in Israel. This program is even more necessary in all the countries around the world where the kids don't understand, don't appreciate, don't have access. How are they ever going to get on that ladder to start climbing to a successful community and make their country a place where they're not struggling to have food and water? They need technology. They need to start young. So you're going to put this program in every country in the world. And I said, Mr. Prime Minister, I'm getting enough trouble. It's a not-for-profit. It's me nights and weekends. I get companies here in the U.S. to adopt teams, or you because you're involved with so many, but I can't run around the world to do that.